Good evening and welcome to yet another episode of the program Service to Humanity, your window into the activities of the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development and her agencies as it carries out its mandate of fighting poverty and coordinating the nation's response to humanitarian issues. I'm your anchor on the program, Habiba Zakzak, urging you to stay tuned. Last week, we started a series to commemorate 3 years of the ministry by reviewing some of its major interventions and the lives they have touched so far. In this episode, we shall review recent happenings in the National Homegrown School Feeding Program under the National Social Investment Program. Before the review, we shall, however, take news of recent happenings as well as the flag-off of the grant for vulnerable groups in Jigawa State. Please stay tuned for the full package after this timeout. Don't go away.
I tell you, anytime we're not producing, the fish farmers suffer. The people we engage suffer. The people we feed, that we give our fish heads to, they feel it. I'll only beg the government to continue with this and make it run more.
We used to have children crying, parents will be chasing them to come to school, and they will be at the gate, they will be crying, they will hold on to the plate, they will not want to come into the gate.
When they are not giving the food, the attendance was very low.
Now the children are always fit and healthy because of the food they eat.
You make them attend class every day.
I eat rice, meat, and carrots.
I want to use this opportunity to thank the federal government for the feeding program.
We shall begin with the Management Diary, where we bring you news from the ministry and her agencies. On the news, Minister calls on communities to be proactive in checking floods just as victims of flood in Jigawa State receive relief materials. Stay tuned for details.
We are charged with providing humanitarian service, manage disasters.
Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has called on communities to be more proactive in taking measures to check the perennial cases of flooding in Jigawa State. She made this call when she visited the Governor of Jigawa State, Muhammad Badaru Abubakar. The minister was in Jigawa to identify with the government and people of Jigawa State over the recent floods, which destroyed houses and farmlands in the state, as well as to deliver the message and relief materials from the president to affected communities.
It's with deep sense of responsibility that I'm here to convey the sympathy of the federal government of Nigeria and to the government and good people of Jigawa State over the recent flood and disaster in Hadeja, Kasama, Kafin Hausa, Brinua, Kaugama, and Malamaduri local government areas of the state. This incident is particularly sad because it has become perennial with attendant wide-scale destruction of houses, farmlands, schools, properties, and means of livelihoods of thousands of people. Upon receiving this unfortunate news, President Muhammad Buhari directed the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to activate the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, to respond in providing necessary support to the affected persons.
Sadia Umar Farouk then implored communities to take steps that can prevent a reoccurrence of this natural disaster.
Let me use Your Excellency today's occasion to seek for the support of all to forestall the next round of flooding and ensure that it comes with minimal impact. I call on state and local governments to continue to provide more and more drainages where they do not exist, ensure better land use and regulation. I also enjoin the communities to maintain the existing drainages and avoid manipulation of streams and basins.
Responding, the governor of Jigawa State expressed his gratitude to the minister and the presidency for always identifying with Jigawa State in her time of need while also praying that such disasters will be a thing of the past.
I have to say thank you, and thank you, and thank you. You see the response. This flooding happens, the latest ones happens 4 or 5 days ago, and already relief materials are on ground. Supporting. And we have seen the kind of support we receive during the COVID, during all afflictions that afflicted our people. You are always apt and on time to support our people. I don't know how to thank you enough.
The Director General of the National Emergency Management Agency, Mustafa Habib, who was part of the minister's entourage, commended the Jigawa State Governor for his effort at taking disaster preparedness down to the grassroots amongst other preventive measures.
4 states in Nigeria have local emergency management committee, and I'm proud to beat my chest and I'm proud to say Jigawa State Governor established local emergency management committee in Jigawa State. Governor Badaru Abubakar has taken disaster management to the grassroots.
Following the visit of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs to the Governor of Jigawa State, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, has flagged off the distribution of relief items to victims of floods in 6 local government areas of Jigawa State. The affected local government areas are Hadeja, Kirika Samma, Kafin Hausa, Birniwa, Kaugama, and Malamadori. The relief items included 7,650 bags of rice, 6,450 bags of maize, 950 of 20 liters of vegetable oil, 530 cartons of seasoning, 50 bags of 20 kg salt, and 6,000 bags of cement. Others are 4,400 bundles of roofing sheets, 900 bags of 3-inch nails, 1,100 packets of zinc nails, 2,900 pieces of ceiling board, 2,900 pieces of blankets, and 5,900 pieces of nylon mats. The materials were distributed to victims of the disasters even as the local authorities promised efficiency in the exercise. Speaking before the distribution of the relief items, Director General of NEMA, Mustafa Habib, who was represented by the coordinator, NEMA, Kano Territorial Office, Noura Abdullahi, said that floods cause more destruction to lives and property across the country than any natural disaster, calling on Nigerians to prepare for the effect of climate change. Noura Abdullahi said the agency under the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development has taken steps in line with being ready for all eventualities.
The agency, under the guidance and the support of the Honorable Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadia Umar Farouk, is embarking on a comprehensive flood risk management plan which promises to substantially reduce potential lost lives, property damage, and interruption to livelihood and economic activities.
So Allah saka muku da alkhairi.
In keeping with its vision to create sustainable and inclusive social systems that promote human dignity in Nigeria, the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs flagged off the grants for vulnerable groups designed to empower poor and vulnerable women and youth in the country. Since the national flag-off in Abuja, the minister and her team have continued to visit other states of the Federation for similar events, touching the lives of the vulnerable with this one-off grant of 20,000 naira. Jigawa State received the minister in one of her recent outings, and our crew was there to cover the event. Let's see how it went.
The entrance of the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development, Sadiya Umar Farouk, and the Governor of Jigawa State to the venue of the event was greeted by joyful welcome. Little wonder, then, that when the Governor of Jigawa State, Alhaji Muhammad Badaru Abubakar, spoke of the Minister, he described her as the ambassador of smiles.
It is indeed with great pleasure to welcome Her Excellency, Inshallah, Hajiya Sadiya Umar Farouk, Honorable Minister, the Ambassador of Smiles. As we walk in, we saw people smiling and laughing and chanting. Masu guda suna ta yi. Indeed, we are so delighted to receive you in Jigawa, and you always come with surprises, with life-changing programs for our people.
Governor Badaru speaking further appreciated the ministry for its continuous support for Jigawa State, especially as a beneficiary of the National Social Investment Program. The governor said, with support from the state, beneficiaries of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program have more than doubled. This is amongst other programs that have uplifted the lives of residents of Jigawa State.
We are feeding 935,000 because they from 4 to 6 are being fed substantially by your own contribution. The Jigawa State is adding a little to make it possible for all the students in the primary school who are fed. So we thank you very much. And in that doing, 9,673 cooks were gainfully employed.
In her own speech, the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Sadiya Umar Farouk, expressed delight with the visible impact of the National Social Investment Program on the lives of residents in Jigawa State. Speaking on the grant for vulnerable groups, which was the main event for Flag Off, the minister said it was a consolidation of the National Social Investment Program targeted at the most vulnerable of women to help empower them economically.
The grant for vulnerable groups, which we're here to flag off today, was introduced in 2020 to sustain the social inclusion agenda of His Excellency President Muhammad Buhari's administration. It is consistent with the national target of lifting 100 million Nigerians out of poverty in 10 years. It is designed to provide a one-off grant to some of the poorest and most vulnerable persons in rural and peri-urban areas of the country.
The minister revealed that 4,537 women are the target of this grant of 20,000 naira each. The beneficiaries are drawn from the 27 local government areas of the state. She called on them to be judicious in the usage of the grant.
It's our hope also that the beneficiaries of this program will make very good use of it to improve their productive activities that will generate more income for them. And this is to say that this money, when given to you, you should please go and use it to add to your capital. If you already have a business, if you don't, you can start any small business with, and inshallah by next year you will have tenfold of this money or even more.
National Coordinator of the NSIP, Engineer Umar Binder, was also at the event. Giving a breakdown of how Jigawa has benefited from the NSIP, Engineer Binder said 21,647 graduates from Jigawa are currently on the N-Power scheme. About 500,000 pupils are being fed via the Homegrown School Feeding Program. 170,000 households are enrolled to benefit from the CCT, while the President has approved the disbursement of 1 billion naira to applicants of the JIP 2.0 in Jigawa State.
Your Excellency, NSIP is working in Jigawa State. You are sleeping with two eyes because this program is working for you.
Goodwill messages were delivered by the focal person for Jigawa State, where he expressed the delight of the state and beneficiaries over the implementation of NSIP in Jigawa State.
We, the implementers, are happy, and we say very big thank you to this program, to Mr. President, to you, the agents of Mr. President in the delivery of this service. We commend everyone, and the poor and the vulnerable of Jigawa State will remain grateful. In fact, social investment program is a household named program in the entire city.
The grants for vulnerable groups was flagged off by the minister and the governor, with each beneficiary receiving 20,000 naira cash, for which they expressed gratitude.
Wallahi murna ne godiya nace Allah saka masa da gidan aljanna.
Speaking on behalf of independent monitors in Jigawa State, one of the supervisors outlined their roles and how they helped the implementation of the National Social Investment Program.
We are to give report of each program, occasionally 21 days of each blessment. And there in the headquarters in Abuja, they use our report to justify how equitable, fairly and judicially the program is being implemented.
You are still watching Service to Humanity. It has been 3 years of service to humanity by the Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development. During this period, a lot of programs and policies were developed, and many lives have been touched as well. We shall have a highlight of some achievements of the ministry through its National Social Investment Programs, and the cluster in view tonight is the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. Let's see the journey so far.
National Homegrown School Feeding Program is an initiative of the Buhari administration under the National Social Investment Programs.
I enjoy the food very well.
It is a multi-sectoral program that involves the Ministries of Education, Health, Justice, Agriculture, and Budget and National Planning in collaboration with interested states government, school board management committees, community leaders, women groups, and parents. One of the significant events that took place this year was a 2-day national consultative meeting on public food procurement in the context of Nigeria's National Homegrown School Feeding Program. The event was organized by the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development in collaboration with Resolve to Save Lives, RTSL. National Coordinator of the NSIP's Engineer Umar Binder, who represented the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs, Hajia Sadia Umar Farouk, explained that the consultative meeting was aimed at putting together the implementing team of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program in the country to discuss issues that had to do with food and feeding procurement.
This particular consultative meeting on public food procurement and many other issues that you will discuss is just to add value to what you know already. And I hope if we continue at this pace, we will quietly put NSIP as the major legacy of Mr. President. We don't have time, but it can be done.
Another significant event was a capacity building workshop for program managers and program officers of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program. National team lead of the school feeding program, Aisha Dugel, gave a statement on the objectives of the workshop.
So for us, we wanted to use this opportunity to actually get back on the same page with the implementers, that's the state government representatives who are the program managers, as well as the federal government, to get back to the project implementation manual, which is guiding or is expected to guide this program.
We're now going to be discussing about the dashboard design.
To further solidify the school feeding program, a dashboard was designed. The dashboard presents data from the National Homegrown School Feeding Program database to give a simple and comprehensive insight into critical values and trends. According to the designers of the dashboard, its benefits include total visibility into the program, big time savings, seamless reporting, a collaborative working space, and easy consolidation.
This dashboard is giving you first-hand information about the program itself. For example, the homegrown school feeding. If you have a secondary school where we have the feeding taking place, just by clicking on the dashboard, on the location of the school, the point location of the school, you have all the information, starting from the cooks, the number of pupils, and the way that the feeding is taking place in that at a particular point of time or not.
High point of this year so far as the school feeding program is concerned, was the celebration of the 7th Africa Day for School Feeding.
3, 2, 1. Very good. Thank you.
No doubt, the school feeding program is doing well in terms of the impact on the lives of the children. Little wonder then that the United Nations World Food Program has continued to deepen its partnership with Nigeria in improving school feeding in the country. Early 2022, the ministry received digital equipment from the United Nations World Food Program comprising laptops and tablets. The United Nations World Food Program also presented a publication of the joint assessment of the National Homegrown School Feeding Program that was conducted by it and the ministry. The equipment was received by Dr. Umar Binder on behalf of the minister.
Today you are here to deliver an additional hand for us to professionally ensure efficiency and effectiveness. This digital equipment that you have brought here, as you indicated, will go a long way to improve the quality of delivery of our own technical officers in the field, in designing the foods, in ensuring that data is analyzed quickly, in ensuring that reports are prepared quickly, and ensuring that communication is done effectively.
Indeed, it is safe to say the humanitarian ministry has lived up to its mandate as it has continued to impact the lives of poor and vulnerable Nigerians through its social intervention programs. With that, we come to the end of this week's episode of Service to Humanity. Remember, your questions and suggestions are welcome to any of our social media platforms or the ministry's page on Facebook or Twitter. Until I come your way again, it's good night. Do stay safe.